Hello and welcome back to the Metropole Grid. My name is Andrej.
And I'm Benoit.
And we have the second matchup between Eric and John. This is the long game.
Yeah, but this is pretty fast, so we need to speak faster because they're shuffling hard.
Holy crap, they're shuffling fast. This game is about 50 minutes. This is the longest game this day. And we're playing it at 1.5 speed. Mm-hmm. It's actually, you can still pay attention. Watching this it's kind of dizzy. It makes me feel like I should be talking faster.
And it's like, there's no spoiler. You're playing Blue Sun, playing Kate.
Yep.
Both players are going to have credits for sure because they're both econ based. Mm-hmm. And Blue Sun takes game longer. So Kate as well, pretty good late game. So we're going to see a long game, but this is going to be faster because of this speed.
Right. So on the left, we have John, and he's playing a version of Kate, which is, I believe, referred to as Congress Kate. Yeah, I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, probably.
This came out maybe a week or two before Gen Con, perhaps a week before that, and I think was actually very popular at Gen Con, from what I understand. So the difference between this Kate, what makes it Congress Kate, is that it instead of going for the prepaid voice pads and doing the event economy, it goes for drip economy.
Yeah.
It plays dice and mem chips to get Kate up to that 2 link, because Kate does start with a link.
Yeah.
And then it can play data folding, and it plays professional contacts.
Mm-hmm. Which is interesting in longer games.
Yeah, which for longer games is more reliable economy. That is 6 credits a turn, 8 if you put in daily casts, even more because you can have multiple daily casts. And that is unrivaled econ. That's a lot of money. It's 6 credits for no click at the beginning of your turn. That is hard to deal with. Now, the problem with Congress Kate is, opposed to normal prepaid Kate or any other kind of version of Kate, is speed.
Yeah. Because if you're playing against a fast advance, it's harder. You can still get your clot out pretty fast, which is good, but you don't get to play your breakers or get econ fast. So it's less good against Butcher Shop or any yellow Corp decks.
Right. So also, John was testing this Congress Kate to see what he was going to bring to Gen Con.
Yep.
He wanted to play something that was very reliable, something that was strong and had not a lot of bad matchups. I'm actually not sure whether he ended up bringing Congress Kate or not.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It's not that great against fast advance. It's okay against RP and Blue Sun for sure.
Gen Con had a lot of fast advance.
Yeah, a lot of fast advance.
Which was surprising. I don't know if people don't play Clot or just the speed is really hard.
Yeah, the speed is hard to play against.
So on the other side, it's Blue Sun opening slowly. That subliminal messaging is going to be bouncing back to the hand a lot.
So many times.
Oh, geez. I think this game, it just prints money. That is going to be a res wormhole for free. So Blue Sun, the identity can return ice to hand or any card to hand, very importantly.
So Oversight AI is basically like your money card.
Mm-hmm. So generally, the best play is to do that on a curtain wall. Curtain wall is very hard to break, barring David. And then you return that curtain wall to hand, 14 credits for a 1 credit
But
investment.
if you have in your hand is a wormhole, it's not that bad either. Because there's nothing to break it. David is probably not in K decks. So your Gordian Blade or your Zoo is not going to break a wormhole right now. So
Right. That subliminal message is going to keep going. I think once or twice the subliminal messaging is played incorrectly and I think it gets 2 credits or something strange. But it really doesn't matter in the long run.
So right now, as Kate, you cannot run against Blue Sun because you might die. Because 21 credit against 3 credit is a big thing.
Yeah, Sea Sword Scorched is totally a thing.
Would you install an agenda naked as Blue Sun? You played more Weyland than I did.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of the agendas in Weyland are 3-pointers.
Yeah.
So install advance.
Why not if you have more credit?
It's very early in the game.
Yeah.
I don't think for sure you have all the pieces.
True.
It's not as tightened, so you can't tutor for Sea Source or Scorch. So you need all 3 parts in hand at the beginning, which is really hard. John is putting out the Plascrete. That's a big deal.
Yep.
So now, if we're assuming there's a Sea Source instead of mid-seasons, Sea Source Scorch will not kill.
Yep, and you can clear the tag after.
And you clear the tag right after. So that's a problem. The only way around that is you score the Cleaners. The Cleaners adds an extra meat damage, so Sea Source Scorch will kill through a single Plascrete with a full hand. That's 10 damage.
Yep,
yeah,
it makes sense.
Yep. So that's
if there's no I've had worse, but
yes, but
it's Kate.
It's Kate. So a very interesting thing installed is Sacrificial Construct.
Yeah.
So Sacrificial Construct came in the core set. It is a resource, which a lot of people think is strange. It looks like a piece of hardware.
Yeah, it looks, because it saves something.
Yeah, so you can trash that card, and it will save a program or hardware. I think just program. I forget.
Yep.
It saves something from being trashed. That seems really good for a couple reasons. I've seen people playing this as a hard counter in a certain way to Marcus Batty. Marcus Batty could trash a program without you being able to counter it without breaking a subroutine. In Shaper, it's actually not that bad because you do have recursion, clone chip.
Yep,
If you're doing Levi, that's
also
a thing.
works for Clot.
That's
It's a
the exciting
purge
thing.
virus.
Yeah, you can purge virus and Clot will still stay there.
Yep.
I think there's only one in the deck, but I think it's a very exciting include.
Yeah, because Cyber Dex doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, that's really
You can
good.
Cyber Dex, trash your Cyber Dex. I trash my Sacrificial Construct.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then you need one more Cyber Dex.
Yes, and I think it's unique, maybe? Probably not. So that's still really hard to get two Cyber Decks. So at this point in the game, it's 27 credits up. That's a lead of 20 credits at this point.
So there we have the install advance, which is interesting.
So Corroder is on the board. You can't afford to break it at this point if you're John.
Yep.
And even then, that's an agenda. Could get Caesar Scorched.
Yep. All right, so setting up his econ, taking his one link. So now he has 2 links, so he could start installing his Underworld contacts.
Right. So I play a lot of Anarch. I love face-checking ice.
Yep.
Against Blue Sun, face-checking ice is not a good idea.
No, it just pays. You need to face the ice, and then
it
he
comes
can
back.
bounce it.
And you run into a data pike or a toll booth or something really horrible, which turns off that point in the game. You can't slow them down. They do have to spend a click putting the ice back if they do choose to bounce it. But it looks like that's not going to happen, and that's a high-risk investment scored. That is a big deal. Mm-hmm. So this Kate inevitably is going to have buckets and buckets of money. All the credits, unimaginable amounts of credits with this sort of drip economy.
Yep.
But it won't matter because of the high-risk investment.
Yeah, that's a great agenda to score at that point.
I believe at this point in the game, John yelled a couple times out loud. He yelled to me. He said this was the end of the game because there's no way around a C-source at this point if you have a high risk.
But you have the Plascrete, which is great.
Exactly. Plascrete is completely fine. That's 3 daily casts out on the board at once. I've never seen that in a game of Netrunner.
And not paid as well because of Career Fair. Interesting.
So he's getting 7 credits at the beginning of his turn.
That's already great.
That's pretty fantastic. And he's slowly building board state. Mm-hmm. You'll notice there's a lot of draw cards in Congress Kate, more than usual, I think, in a prepaid Kate deck. 3 quality times, 3 diesel, I think even inject.
You just replace the professional contacts.
Yes.
With econ and also card draw.
Yeah, exactly. So you're going to go through your whole deck in maybe 8 turns if you're lucky. Maybe a bit less. Maybe probably a bit more, actually.
Yeah, if you run, it takes you more.
And you're going to be consistently building.
Yeah.
Did he have an SMC or did he use that for something? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
Okay. So he's at an impasse here. I'm not sure what you can do against Sea-Source Scorched. Well, Sea-Source Scorched isn't going to kill you, but Sea-Source is definitely a thing.
Yeah, I think right now he's pretty lucky that the Corp doesn't draw agendas and install advance.
Yeah.
I think that would be bad for him.
So with a Weyland deck, especially a Blue Sun deck, you can actually expect an extremely low agenda density.
Yep.
Weyland does have access to that 6-point agenda.
Yeah, with
takeover.
punitive counter strikes.
Yeah. And I believe there's only going to be 3-pointers in this deck. So that could be as little as 6 agendas maybe. Mm-hmm. Random accesses are not worth anything at this point.
You're just running and you can see source scorch or you're actually putting yourself in a bad spot.
So at this point, unless you have incredibly strong multi-access, you only have to contest the scoring remote.
Yeah, the remote, and also start installing your multi-access.
Exactly. So it looks like we have more drip econ out. That is a data folding. Which is data folding is a hard thing to keep consistently going as you build a rig.
Yeah.
However, with all these dice and mem chips, I think there might even be 3 in the deck. You're going to have spare MU.
Yeah, and you also install them for 1 less with Kate.
Exactly, which is pretty good. This also does allow you to use cloud breakers. In Kate, you do have Creeper and Zool. I don't think he's running either of those.
No, probably maybe Zoo as his code gates, but I haven't seen his deck list.
Yeah. So that's an option. I don't think he has to do Zoo. I think he can do something that is more credit intensive. You could even do Torch for this kind of money.
Maybe, yeah.
So we'll see what he does there. The money's coming in. There's no pressure. He's not being forced to run.
No, because there's no scoring remotes. And there's no fast advance, so you're safe.
You're pretty...
There is also an upgrade on R&D, so right now you don't know what to expect on R&D.
Could be a Crisium. I would be excited if that was something like a Will-O-Wisp.
Yeah,
I think Will-O-Wisp is really cool.
But there's so much recursion in the Kate decks. So
so
with
it's
two
not that
clone
good.
chips out.
At the end of your deck, it becomes something.
Yep.
In Blue Sun, I don't know if you want to do this as a deterrent, but in theory, you could res a Will-O-Wisp and just res it and keep it res there. So the runner understands if they run, that will happen. You could bounce it if you need the credits.
Yeah.
Maybe the surprise is definitely worth something. So
Yeah.
maybe not the best idea.
You can do that with all upgrades as well. So even just res something and keep it there.
Yep.
And then bounce it whenever you need it.
You saw actually one of the cards that John drew was it was a study guide.
Okay.
As a code gate breaker.
Is code gate breaker.
Yeah. So that is, if you are not familiar with the card, study guide is it starts with 0 strength. It breaks one code gate subroutine for 1 credit.
Yep.
And the only way to pump its strength is by paying 2 credits to add a power counter to the card, which permanently increases the strength of the code gate breaker. So that means the first code gate you're going to run into, say it's a Lotus Field, you have to pump by 4, so that's going to be 8 credits. But from then on, it will break Lotus Field for only 1 credit, which is incredibly strong when you get to that point.
Which is why Sacrificial Construct is also good, because if you get your program trashed, you can now keep it at whatever counter there is.
Because otherwise you're losing a huge investment.
I played the study guide in my Nasir deck, and it was so good. Like, even in a normal deck, I think it's pretty good because not many code gates crew your game when you encounter them. So even if you cannot break the code gate whenever you encounter it, just because you don't have enough money or anything, it's not the end of the world.
Right. And Nasir is really good. You have always credits that you want to use on something. So you can get that study guide really pumped up. So the subliminal messaging... Man, I think it gets maybe 30 credits.
We should count. That's probably like 12 credit now.
It's goofy. And you're not going to run just to contest the subliminal messaging, especially with 32 credits and the high-risk investment scored. So you see, Blue Sun is not finding... Well, Blue Sun hasn't found another Oversight AI. So that's the biggest money card in the deck. But the economy is stabilizing between the two.
Mm-hmm. So Kate is taking over right now.
Yep,
at the
he's getting 5 credits a turn.
29.
Even more, 32. So we're equal.
Yeah, 32, equal.
High risk investment still is going to be a problem, but that's the kind of money that you do need to be able to break a curtain wall. And another Dyson Mem chip. One thing worth mentioning is John's playmat.
Yeah,
this is
that's
really
interesting.
Cool.
It's his second one, actually.
Yes.
So he always plays with the white playmat. And every game he plays in the tournament setting against someone, he has the person sign something on the playmat, which is really cool.
Yeah. So the last playmat, I think he retired. This was probably the second tournament of the new playmat. The last playmat is just completely covered with writing.
Yep.
And not only is it our signatures saying really silly things from games.
Always fun stuff.
Yeah, it's always fun stuff. It even has signatures and drawings from some of the artists from the game that he's met at Gen Con. I think there's a dinosaurus drawn on it by one of the artists.
There's also my guide dog that I drew on his playmat because I was foster family for a guide dog.
Oh, cool.
So it's drawn on his playmat because he was with me at that tournament.
Oh, super cool. So it's really fun. This is the beginning of a new one. And it's always fun to see this thing build up because it just collects stories.
Yep.
You can always look back at it and remember, that's that. You also get to notice how nice Jerome's penmanship is. He writes fantastically. So we just missed that the high risk investment was used.
Yep, for 30-something credits.
For 30-something credits, which I would say is fantastic. 1 click for 30 credits, you can't beat that. However, that threat is now turned off.
Yep, you could have kept it. Why do you need 30 credits for right
exactly.
now?
So I play a lot of Titan, and high risk investment's even better in Titan. That's twice you can use it. But sometimes it's a problem, sometimes it isn't. I almost never use it until I can use it to kill somebody or bury somebody in tags.
It's 1 click, so you can use it the turn before, but it's also really good. Just have him steal 1 agenda, then click for whatever money the runner has, and then just play Psycho, the mid-season one. Yeah.
So I'm not sure exactly what he's going to do to capitalize on this money. But now John is at the point where if he just keeps getting money, he can eclipse the Corp. He can financially overrun them in time.
If there's no agenda right now.
Yeah.
But the Plascrete is great defense.
Single Plascrete seems like enough against the Seasource.
Yeah.
Which is going to be a really big problem.
Yeah. Unless he's playing mid-season.
Yeah.
Which we never know until we see
Yeah, we have
cards.
seen very little influence.
Yep.
I think we're assuming one sea source. We haven't even seen a Jackson. We've seen nothing. Well, we've honestly seen nothing.
There's so
All the
many
cards are
face down ice.
Yeah. But on John's side, we have almost all the drip economy. I think
Yeah.
the best he can do is 6 a turn now that all the daily casts are gone. We're at 5 already.
And I'm really excited to see the first like remote threat of installing in. All right, so wow, snatch and grab.
Snatch and grab. So we have a Katie.
Ooh, was that the iRisk investment 4?
I think so. That caddy's over there in the top
Yeah,
left
it's at
corner.
15
credits on it.
So he's gonna spend probably
30
30
credits.
something to trash 15 credit.
Yeah. So
But with a
33
5
credits.
credit per turn as Kate right now, do
I
you
don't know
really
if you
care?
would do it. No, I don't think it
The
matters.
Corp just spent 30 credit that could have been used to kill you, but instead just trash one
Yep.
of your econ source.
Because I think right now caddy is actually not the best use of time. Because you're getting 5 credits for out a click, and you can get 3 more for a click.
Yep.
I think he still wants to build board state. We're missing a killer. That SMC is not going to work because for the diffractor, sorry, what's it called, decoder.
Decoder, yeah.
Because the card is in hand, which is a problem. So board state still has to be built, and modded is going to bring out another R&D interface.
For 0, that's great.
Yeah, that's really good. And a second modded for another Dyson for free.
So you actually have Link, right?
Yeah, that's another problem with the C source is that
4?
there's 4
4
link already.
Oof.
So you have to beat the runner by a lot. Yeah.
If you want to play Scourge, and even then, you're not killing the runner because of the Plascrete.
Yep.
Has to be at that point. It almost has to be what's it called, mid-season or even punitive if he steals.
Punitive is perhaps
Punitive?
the second way, but you need twice as much money.
Yeah,
as them.
that's so much credit.
Yeah, and I don't think that's going to be
Yeah.
possible. It looks like we do have an install advance behind. Oh no, just an install. Never mind. I thought he was advancing that. So we just have an install. That could be an Atlas if there's Atlases in
Acid
here.
or upgrade.
Acid, maybe just an Ash. Ash seems like a nice thing, a nice way to score an agenda. We have that study guide out. It has no counters on it, so whatever's going to happen to that, it's going to be really expensive. But 5 credits per turn, maybe you're not that worried.
And with 34 credit at that point,
Yeah.
Ooh, Stimac.
Stimac.
You need 9 more credit. They're
Stimac really helps with that
one brain.
study guide.
One
But
brain though.
One brain
It's not that
won't be the
bad.
end of the world.
Yeah.
2 brain will, because double scorch will work.
Yeah, for sure.
But 1 brain,
It's not the end.
yeah, as long as the cleaners, even if the cleaners are scored, 1 brain is no different than
No, doesn't matter.
So that's 9 more credits to
All right.
res.
So he's probably gonna spend those on trashing, upgrade or asset, or even boost his study guide.
Yeah, boosting your study guide, because that's the thing. At the end of the run, say they res no
Yeah.
ice, you can just put all the credits into study guide.
All right, that's pretty expensive.
So
to
we
break.
have a curtain wall. I think that takes 11 to break with a Croter, if my math is right. 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, that's 11. That's
Yep.
a lot of money.
Oof.
That's looks like he's
But
going
you
to
could bring something
Yeah.
lets you break for cheaper.
So I guess you have 2 options. Yeah, Fem is one of them.
Yep, bypass.
Yep. So that's 11 credits to get the
Thing
Fem
is
out.
that the ice is probably gonna bounce at the
Yes.
beginning of Blue Sun's turn.
So if you've never had the opportunity to play against Blue Sun, certain cards that place tokens or anything, in fact, on top of ice become not so good because they can be returned.
Parasite that's not used right away.
Yeah,
Pretty
Knight
bad.
is awful.
Knight is terrible.
Yeah, Knight is not that good. But the Fem is on the board now. I guess if we run into anything else.
Looks
that's
like
good.
his Sentry Breaker, actually.
Yep.
All right, so you got the agenda.
So nothing's going to be rezzed, and that is an empty, just another high-risk investment without advancement counters on it. And going to
He's
draw
gonna
back
draw
up.
back. He's at 4 cards.
Yeah, 4 cards.
All right.
Blue Sun, obviously.
Blue
will
Sun,
return the
obviously,
curtain wall.
so a lot more credit than the runner. So he
Yep.
could actually, at that point,
Not even that
Not
much
even
more.
that
I don't
much.
think that's enough to see Source Scorch. I think that at this point in the time, we sit down and try and figure out the math. And the one thing that perhaps wasn't considered was the 4 link.
links.
So
4
you have to,
link is bad.
4 link is a lot.
Yep.
You have to firstly be able beating by 6.
Yep.
And then you have to beat by... I'm always really bad at this part of the math. Traces
It depends
confuse
on
me.
the link.
Yeah.
So C-Source is 2 for trace 3.
Trace 3. So you have to pay 1 more just to be a par. And then you have to beat. So that's another credit.
It's 6 more if you want to play...
Scourge.
if the runner has 1 link.
Yeah.
It's 6 more if you want to play Scorch afterward.
So...
And even then, you're not killing the runner right
Yeah.
now.
But the runner has almost no more cards in the stack. 1 card, I think.
So would you
So
do it?
even if you do land a double Scorch, that's a plastic gone and that's a hand gone.
Yep. Is there a Levi, you think?
There's no Levi.
then you would do
even
it.
if there is a Levi, it has to be the last
Yep.
card, right?
So you would have to do it. But
You would
right
have to
now,
do
with
it.
the link,
and then you have to
doesn't
recur
enough.
your Scorch,
Yep.
and then you have to recur your sea source and
Yep.
do it again. And I don't think you have a way to get that much money again
Exactly.
to be able to threaten it.
So I think
We're doing
Eric
math.
is doing the math. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
looking at the link and the
So I think he
number
puts
of
4
credit.
credits there just to resemble or to represent the link.
Yeah. So he's basically at 33.
Yeah.
If you play your sea source, it's a trace 3.
Always in games when I'm thinking about the Caesar Scorch, the game slows down a lot,
Yeah.
and people realize I'm doing math, and it's not good because it's obvious. What are you doing now?
It's also a good bluff if you don't, even if you don't
that's
have it.
true.
Sometimes you just count
just
how
to
many
count.
links do you have? How many cards do you have?
Yeah.
Good things to ask in between turns.
I have a problem whenever I'm playing. Say I'm playing a Scorch inside a Jinteki deck,
Yeah.
or any other deck. Say whatever HB deck, and you have to ask how many cards in hand.
Yeah.
It's really obvious unless you're playing. Well, PE, it's kind of more obvious.
Yeah,
that
good
you'd wanna
good
know
thing
that.
to always ask, just as a good
Credits, cards, at the beginning
credits
of
cards
turn.
at the beginning of turn,
Yeah.
just so you can sweep or you can scorch, and it's not too obvious which
Yep.
one of the two you're doing.
Yeah, so that might be worth it. I also like to try and just remember in my head, how many cards. Okay, they drew, so they'd be at 6. They played. You can also tell. You should be keeping track of this stuff anyways.
Of course. So right now, 3 points for the runner, 3 points for the corp. So I think the advantage has to go to the runner at
Totally.
that point.
6
More
credits a
money per
turn.
turn.
Yeah.
Also 3 points. So punitive counter-strike is pretty much out of the way.
Totally.
Because even if you score 3 point, what is the corp going to do?
No.
If you score the 6 point, it's game over.
Yep.
So I think the advantage has to go to the runner at that point.
So John is going to be checking HQ. No agendas have been pushed out. The last agenda that was pushed out did look a bit desperate. From the way I see it, it wasn't
Yep.
even advanced. So there might be stuff clogging up hand. Also, you have to imagine that there is 2 Scorched and a Sea Source in hand. There you go. There's that. So there's probably at least 1 or 2 agendas in there. There is an Oversight AI'd curtain wall. So a really cool thing you can do with the curtain wall is, well, it does get more strength if it is the outermost piece of ice. But sometimes you don't want that. You want it just behind something to protect it even more. That's the safest investment with Oversight AI. So an Anarch couldn't walk in with
So
a
there
single
are
David.
2 upgrades on R&D right now.
That there are.
So
One's been
R&D
there
interface
since,
not so useful if there's something like a Caprice or
one of
Ash.
them's been there since the beginning. I would imagine it's either Caprice, maybe even a Crisium, but Crisium does nothing against RDI.
It does something against Maker's Eye.
Yeah,
which
indexing is also really big.
Yep.
But that's been there for a while. So
So
another piece of ice is going
54
back.
credit against 39. We're getting into crazy territory again.
This is a silly amount of credits. This is the amount of because these credits
so
aren't,
much.
like these credits aren't going to be used.
This
is the Cold War.
It's always that's actually exactly a Cold War. So both players are getting money just against Sea Source. That's the
Man.
only thing.
Are there any cards in Netrunner that can actually, like, how many cards can use the amount of credits that you have? Like Ash, but even then, you just don't beat the trace.
Isn't there something like reset the trace to 0 or something?
Yeah, that's a
which
cool
would be
one.
great.
Yeah.
So the corp can pay like 34 or something, and then you just
prevent the trace.
prevent the trace
Yeah,
and go
it
back to
resets
0.
it.
That'd be interesting to see actually.
But
But at that point, just
Yeah.
gain more money. The corp is always less clicks per turn, and he's gonna overflood agendas. in
agendas are
hand.
always going to be in hand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
stacking in HQ, even with the low density, and then he has to gain money by playing events. So, yeah,
Right.
you're gonna out money the corp for sure.
I think the only other card that can capitalize on this goofy amount of money is Vamp.
Yeah, well, if you have more.
Yeah, if you have more.
But you're already in the good territory if you have more. So Vamp would be
But-
just like
Vamp would actually be really good because you vamp the corp down.
And
Now
then
the
you
corp
run
has
the
no credits.
R&D.
Yeah, and you run R&D,
Yep.
can't res anything, and you're getting 6 credits a turn.
Yeah.
Who cares if you have
that'd
3
be great.
credits? It
I don't
sounds
know
really
if he's
good.
playing Vamp though.
No, he's not.
It's too influence.
No,
which
he has no more deck left.
My Kate is playing Vamp, but that's like one of the way to spend your influence.
Yep. So this is the point in the game in which John decides the best move is just to take 6 credits and then 4 more credits.
Yep.
Which I don't blame him.
No, 10 per turn.
10 per turn sounds good.
It's gonna what can the Blue Sun do at that point?
Nothing.
There's one scoring remote with ice that you can get through
Yeah.
and still have more credits than the
Yeah.
Weyland.
He did triple advance and ice on front of HQ.
Yep.
That's probably the wormhole that's been around since the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
Wormhole is going to cost about 15 credits to break with Study Guide for the first time, which is pretty funny.
Yep.
But at this point in the game, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
I do believe both players start to do a really... Well, John specifically does a lovely array of credits. It's very good for counting.
Yeah.
85 seems like a lot.
Yep.
A realistic possibility at this point in time is running out of credit tokens.
Yeah, I'm using 10-sided dice.
So you've
right
got a
now,
bit to go.
85 pretty simple. When
Yeah.
I get higher than 99, gets pretty confusing because you have 3 dice. But that's not happening that often.
Yeah,
So.
I haven't seen that. John is going to poke archives. I think he was just... not entirely sure why. Maybe.
At that point, agendas start stacking in HQ.
Well, would you dump them?
You have cards to keep in your hand. I don't know. Probably not because it costs you the game, but
So
never know.
There was an Orion on archives, which is the kind of beautiful stuff that Blue Sun can do. They can put one of the most expensive pieces of ice on archives just because who cares?
And just bounce it afterward.
Yeah, and bounce it for no investment.
And cost, a lot of credit?
Yeah.
As a corroder to break?
So this is one of the few turns where subliminal messaging isn't played. That's pretty good. Mm-hmm. Looks like 6 more credits are coming in, whether or not he's going to take 4 more credits or put on pressure. Because, I don't know, running R&D...
At the same time, why would you put pressure? If there's no way for Blue Sun to win by scoring...
Yeah, the
Just
best
wait.
move is not to play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why not? Same thing.
That's
That's
really
why a lot of games go to time as Blue Sun.
Yep. And you can ensure they don't go to time by just confidently saying take 10.
Yeah, at that point, I think Eric knows that he's probably lost at that point.
Yeah.
But it's still interesting just to see.
Yeah. So this is going to continue on like this for a bit. I don't know if there's a good way out. Do you have a way out as Blue Sun?
Depends on his upgrades, I guess. If he plays Caprice or interns or even Trick of Flight for his advanced ice.
Yeah, Trick of Light. But you can't score it. That's 5. That's 5 for
And
3.
is there a clot in Archive with the clone chips out?
Oh, there's a clot.
There's no way you can fast advance. So you need Caprice. Like most Corp, if you don't have Caprice on remotes or a way to fast advance and play against clot, you're screwed. That's it.
Yeah. We've hit the 3-digit mark.
Yeah, there we go.
109 credits.
Yeah, that's a crazy amount.
That's silly.
Wow. Yep.
I think you can stop taking 10 at this point.
Yeah, you can start running, actually. Is he going to wait for the Weyland to deck himself? Like, at that point, there's what? You're going to wait for having more than 5 agendas in hand and throwing them away in Archive?
He's going to have...
crazy.
Okay, we know 3 cards in hand are Scorched, Sea Source.
Yep.
Right. So then he has to draw agenda. He probably has 1 agenda in there. Maybe even 2. So when he draws a 3rd agenda, it either has to go into Archives.
That's the problem with HQ.
But there's only 6 agendas in the game.
Yep. And
Probably.
2 have been scored.
So there's 4. If
There's
we say
4.
2 are in hand, 2 are in R&D.
Yep.
Oh, this is going to take a while.
This is going to take a couple minutes.
Yeah, so we're running...
You can trash them in the Archive the turn that you have your Jackson.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing you can
Yeah,
do.
exactly. So this is
HQ pressure.
the silly point in the game in which you run into a kern wall and it is a mere inconvenience.
Yeah, but you're still taking some of your money away and giving like that advantage to Blue Sun.
Yeah.
That can bounce the ice.
Yeah, exactly. So it looks like we're going to pay 14 credits to make that the biggest study guide the world has ever seen. And single access to an archive memories. All right, so if anything, there's 1 agenda in hand.
Yeah. Archive memory is pretty good because you can start throwing away maybe combo pieces.
Yeah.
And then bring them back maybe.
So if I'm correct, there's probably a Caprice in this deck.
Well, we haven't seen much.
We haven't seen influence.
Archive memory is something.
Archive memories kind of tips me off on that because Blue Sun doesn't want... Like, there's nothing Blue Sun is worried about recurring.
Yep.
The ice is pretty much safe to Parasite all the time.
Yeah.
So if you have to be recurring something really, really good. So that has to be some sort of super upgrade, right?
Yeah, probably. Or one of your combo pieces that have been imped. So your Sea Source or your Scorch.
It also allows you to do Sea Source, Scorch, and if they don't clear the tag for some reason,
bring back the
Scorch again. Yeah, or you can Sea Source twice. I suppose that's also reasonable. But I have seen no influence.
So probably a Caprice.
Yeah, I could say Caprice. It looks like we're just gonna keep doing that money thing because that's been working out for everyone.
I think John can basically like take money 2 or 3 turns.
And then just make one run.
One run just for the fun of it. And
Yeah.
even that run is not mandatory, except if he might be afraid of the Blue Sun drawing his Caprice at that point.
Yeah. But even then,
I would check R&D just to see.
yeah.
Even the 2 upgrades, what can they be? That's so bad.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it can't be that bad. I would. Well, you know where the agendas are. They have to be in HQ.
Or R&D.
We know at least one. It has to be in HQ.
Yep.
Statistically.
At that point,
Reasonable.
I agree. Yeah.
So I think HQ is the safest bet. That server does cost a lot. Oh, it looks like we found another one
Oh,
in the
there we
archives.
go. So 6 points in archive. That
In
was thrown
archives,
away.
yeah, that was thrown away.
Yep.
So that's
Big gamble as the Weyland player
Yeah.
to like think that the runner's not gonna go in archive.
John just looked directly in the camera and apologized to the viewer for this this kind of whole circus of credits. It's funny. I believe at some point we start using virus counters and saying that they're 10 credit pieces.
Nice.
Yep, I think that's it's
great.
necessary at some point. Yeah, there we go. That's a 10 credit.
Cool.
Oh boy, there's not a lot of cards left. That subliminal messaging is
Popping again.
super liminal. At
John
this
is
point.
flashing the virus token at the camera for 10 credits.
Jesus.
It's crazy. So that game was basically like at that point 50 minutes,
Yeah,
and that's game 2.
yeah.
of the
That's
match.
48.
At least the first one was pretty fast.
Oh, incredibly fast. Oh yeah, that was a long game.
yeah,
This would
that
be a
was pretty
problem.
long.
But that's the thing that I think whether this is a really smart choice is that John brought one really fast deck
Yep.
and one slow deck, so you know for sure you're gonna have time
Yeah,
to do both.
something that I like doing. Last year at Gen Con, I did the same thing with
Yep.
Near Earth and Kate. Kate is one of the slower runner compared to Andromeda or Criminals at that time.
It looks like we're gonna clone ship out that admin for 10 strength admin, probably one of the strongest admins you would ever
Just to
want to
break
do.
curtain wall and save like
Yeah, because now
11 credits per run.
Hey,
there we go. So
government
HQ.
takeover.
Damn.
So that's 12,
Crazy. So
12
what are the
agendas.
upgrades? Oh, Caprice.
Yeah.
Oh, you should have res that.
Yes.
And just bounce it. So with Blue Sun, you can actually res your upgrades and bounce them back and put them in remote.
Yeah, this is the huge problem.
It's crazy.
The whole time, they forgot about that. I
Oh,
think he was
that's
trying to
crazy.
just move
Yeah,
that
yeah.
into the scoring
Oh,
mode. That was his
poor
only
Eric.
option. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. Eric felt really horrible after that. He completely forgot he can move that over.
Well, you're still gonna play a game. Might cost you the game as putting stuff on
Yeah, I
remote
know.
with a
There's not much
Caprice,
you can
but
do.
that's-
The 6-point agenda in
Still.
hand, you're not going to be able to score that. That's a liability.
Put it on Caprice and just try to advance it like 3 turns in a row, maybe.
Yep.
Wow, that was crazy. Crazy game.
That's a really silly game. 12 points at this, I believe, is the most agenda points you can score in a game. So well done, John. That's
All
really,
right.
really good. Well, that was ridiculous. Thanks for watching. That is the end of this BD Cosmos summer kit. For what it's worth, John actually on the left, he did take first place.
Yep.
Very happy about that.
Cool.
And we'll see how you win with Gen Con. Thanks
All
for
right.
watching. There'll be more Netrunner content coming in the near future.
See ya, everyone.
Ciao.